as usual. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this lovely world on your own screen. Welcome to our CRMKonvos show today with only 2 people on your screen, so you have the opportunity to get more focus. Our dear friend Thomas is on the way to Tahiti to look for his boat. As a poor man, yes, honestly, I'm feeling such an emotion, such as, okay, make your boat be happy, even more shiny than she is already, and get her in an even much better shape so that the guests you are welcoming in this season have even more fun. So, having said that, I would like to introduce you to Clint Oram, dear audience, as today's guest is someone who has shaped the CRM world to a certain degree. Yeah. For more than 2 decades, Clint, as co-founder of SugarCRM, the company he helped build for an open source project in 2004 into a global CRM leader, is now in another role. Over the years, he has served as CTO, CMO, Chief Strategic Officer, driving product innovation, customer engagement strategy, and the company's expansion also with partners and partnerships, strategic market expansion into new markets. Now, Clint is bringing his execution first mindset into a new arena. Drum roll. As a co-host of the Prompt This podcast, and where he and Greg Rosenthal explore how AI is reshaping our business, leadership, and the real-world decision-making. He also is advising emerging SaaS and AI startups, helping the next generation of founders navigate product market fit and go-to-market strategy and early-stage growth. Clint is the 4th generation, to my surprise, entrepreneur out of a family. You are now in the 4th generation for helping companies build smarter, more human customer connections in an AI-powered world. Welcome, Clint. And what did I forget?
Smiling face. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here today and excited to share with you what I've been learning over the last several months.
Yes, that is exactly what we have thought as being our core topic and the core challenge, aside of private challenges, which some of us are facing in the way of it's getting hectic, business is rising, a lot of movement, literally speaking, is going on, redesigning, reshaping, refitting to the size, such as my 3 kids are out of house. So there is already the thought, do we need still the house, or can we go for a smaller environment, an apartment or something more sophisticated?
Well, we're having the exact same discussion in our house. And in fact, we pulled the trigger. We have spent the last 5 days moving out of our house into someplace new. And it's exciting. It's a lot of change.
Absolutely. And keeping my fingers crossed that you will have positive experiences on the move and getting into a new environment and a new neighborhood, and that you will have a lot of fun. and still keep contact to your old neighborhood and to your old, let's say, environments, which are important. We are going into our topic in a way of AI. Sorry, apologies. AI has become not only large language models, but we have the trend, before we open to the real session, what I have designed, that AI is shaping towards the business and the opportunities that it can be a highly sophisticated and useful co-worker. What are your thoughts on this one?
Oh boy, that's a big topic in and of itself. Let's make it even bigger for a moment, right?
Okay.
2026 is the year of change. We're done talking about it. Now we're doing it. This is happening at every level of society, it seems like. Geopolitics, the future of work is now the present of work. The way businesses are designing themselves, the way businesses are getting funded, new startups are getting funded, everything's changing right now. And then on a very personal level, both of us are having the discussions about how we change where we live. It's definitely a year of profound change I see across the board. And I think the part that I'm certainly learning from my guests on my podcasts and I'm observing in the marketplace around us is last year, AI was the promise of the future.
Okay.
Right? This year, it is business reality. Last year, at the beginning of the year of the budget planning season, AI wasn't very real yet, right? And at least generative AI wasn't real. Predictive AI certainly was real, and how to apply algorithms to the data sets you had was certainly very real and very well established. But generative AI and large language models and all of the amazing productivity gains that you could gain, that you get on an individual basis, just weren't very real yet. And so companies weren't planning around it. This year, it's completely real. ChatGPT 5, Claude 4, all of these advances in large language models have turned generative AI into a core part of how we're working on a day-to-day basis, and businesses are planning around that. And what I'm finding is that by and large, businesses are looking for 20 to 40% productivity gains from their knowledge workers, right? And that 20 to 40% productivity gain is turning into cost savings. It's turning into money that can be reinvested back into products, money that can be reinvested back into sales and marketing. And it's just a year of change because everybody's trying to figure out what the heck this means, right? This is just all new for everybody. And everybody's kind of scrambling around trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what's hype, what's reality, where should I be focusing my attention? And I've learned a lot about what's working right now and what's still kind of in early stages of development, and frankly, things that just aren't really very practical. And that's where we're at right now, and that's where my time is being spent.
And that is exactly why we talk together, because that is exactly the topic we're focusing, that a lot of people looking for the right things to do to get forward and to benefit out of this fantastic opportunity and get something done smarter, faster, more cost efficient, more effective, and last but not least, to share that better doing of jobs and to make jobs to be done easier and more effective and efficient, that they have a profit as customer experience out of this.
Right.
Having said that,
that's probably the area that I worry the most about is the customer experience. Right?
Why?
I had my first. Go ahead.
Why are you worried? Because this is an
You know,
important topic.
I had my first experience with a AI agent over the phone a few weeks ago. I
Yep.
was doing a consulting project for a company that was screening their executive consultants that they were bringing using an AI agent. And so the phone call was very much an AI agent asking me a set of questions, me giving the answers back. And uh, it wasn't that impressive. I found it was neat that the technology could understand my words. It was
Yeah.
certainly neat that the technology could respond to my questions. But in the end, it was like a glorified IVR. I was just stuck in an IVR, and I wanted to ask some questions that went beyond the
Yeah.
script, and the AI agent didn't know how to respond to those questions beyond the script, and it was a very mediocre experience. And it had me thinking about all of those customers of companies that are
Hmm.
interacting with AI agents for lead qualification, and how the experience can be very mediocre if you're not thoughtful about where you apply that technology. And so in here, I think there's going to be a lot of experimenting with new technology, but also
Hmm.
I think what's going to come out of this is the value of the human experience is going to become even more important than ever before. That's one of my first observations.
That's very important that you shared this with us, because it fits to a scheme, such as people, as you know, the German market is very, so to say, German Angst, German Mittelstand, and it's a lot of concerns about anything which is change and new, and includes technology, and that something is out of control. So people love to have zero control about everything and everybody and everything, yeah, to say so. This sounds mostly a bit negative, but it is something of our core fears we have since centuries in us. Now, to get that Gordian knot cut and opened, it does need a lot of positive experiences.
Mhm.
Now, you shared with us one which was giving you into the reflection mode, so to say, such
Mhm.
as it was okay, but it was not brilliant. It was underperforming to my expectations. I had expected even better and more. Yeah? So, having said that, where do you see the usability of the existing technology? As you said, 2026 is moving forward, is describing a new scenario, such as we make it happen. But do we get only the, let's say, more or less nice stuff working, or is there real, let's say, gold and diamonds what you get to buy, or which you can get into a
Mhm.
coworker or in a setup of technology which is assisting you?
Let's talk about AI sales development reps for a moment, SDRs or
Okay.
BDRs. I think this is a good
Hmm.
place to it picks up on that conversation or the point I was just making about uh, the AI agent that I was interacting with. But before we go into that, let me make an observation. If there's
Hmm.
one thing I learned in 2025 about AI is how to spot AI.
How
I
to
can now
spot?
see,
Okay.
when I see AI videos, when I see AI posts on LinkedIn, when I see AI, and by the way, I'm guilty of creating AI content all the time, but I
Okay.
can see it, and I don't necessarily throw it away, but I put a little bit of a discount on it. It's
Okay.
not quite the same as a human interaction. And I think we've all
Okay.
come out of 2025 with the understanding of how to recognize AI and AI generated content, and when I'm interacting with AI, and feel a little disappointed, or I'm not, feel like it's not
Okay.
quite enough. Feel like I'm the company is not bothering to put a real person in front of me at this moment, and I think we've all learned how to do that. So let's take that into the case of AI SDRs, where I've been listening to the guests on my podcast and talking to various business leaders. AI SDRs are brilliant for inbound lead qualification to quickly classify who the potential prospect is, what their interest is, and what problems they have. Brilliant at that. And so routing inbound leads to the right person at the right time is happening better than ever before. Absolutely fantastic.
Cool.
But when on the flip side, when you're using AI for outbound prospecting and you're interrupting somebody's day, either through an email, a text, a phone call, and it's very formulaic and it's very obvious that it's AI, that's apparently not working at all. People just dismiss it immediately, ignore it immediately. It's just the new version of spam, right? And it may be maybe smarter spam, but it's still just spam in the end.
Yeah.
And so I've heard lots of people talk about how they burned through their entire lists of potential prospects with what ended up being low quality outbound interactions, and basically wasted that first opportunity to present a great customer experience when reaching out. So that's kind of two ends of the spectrum. There's a lot in between. There's a lot of gray in the middle, and there's places where people are finding success, even in some form of outbound, making sure, for instance, that the person that if I'm a human, if I'm using AI technology to help me connect with a person more quickly, and it's the right person that matches my my background and my interests, my skills, and augmenting that human interaction, that seems to work pretty well. But I think the key point in there is at least where we are today in 2026, both in terms of the quality of the technology and the expectations of our audience, is AI augmentation of humans is working much better than AI replacement of humans.
That is a very important statement, because I'm not a big fan of hire and fire consultancy. So I love that statement, as it is in the thesis, let the AI help you to get even better, smarter, a positive assistant. Yeah. So making a note, a mental one on that one. And as you have already answered my starting question, where have we landed with AI in the first quarter of 2026, and gave us a clear overview, I would like to see some of the context, how we are working through. You started with a very important topic: sales, inbound sales, lead analysis, lead qualification, and lead routing. That is a time-consuming process, and adding AI here too is most brilliant, especially if you can route it to different sector patterns, and you can utilize this in many ways for the qualification of the lead, which is calling. Have you observed any of the systems which are utilizing specific sales methodologies as helping hands, such as account-based marketing or MedPick or spin selling?
I've seen a few different things out there. There's a couple companies in the world of helping sellers sell that are doing quite well right now. Regie.ai, REGIE.ai, and win.ai, WINN.ai, are two companies that are getting just a lot of momentum right now. And basically what they're doing very well is bringing the proper context to the sales rep at the right time to help them navigate a conversation, move forward and move a deal forward. It's turning out to be quite a good set of tools to understand how to leverage generative AI to have a higher quality experience. Again, that AI augmentation of the human. What I've seen work not terribly well, as I said, is the complete replacement of the human with AI technology. And in both cases, you said a very important word earlier, and I want to come back to this word, the word context. Now, you're certainly quite familiar with technology, AI technology. I'm sure you're hearing the word context be used quite frequently, right? And what that typically means is when you have a large language model, how do you stuff as much data as possible into the large language model so that when you ask it a question, it comes back with a valuable answer? What that data that is specific to the prompt is typically referred to is context, right? So often you'll hear people say that AI only gives you answers as good as the prompt, right? If you put in a good prompt, you get a good answer. Well, I'm going to take it a step further and say it's not just the quality of the prompt, it's the quality of the data. And the two together are giving you the context around what the question is that you're trying to solve, and helps give the AI the guidance necessary to give high quality answers, high quality guidance. What we're finding in this world of AI technology context is that it's quite hard to pull all the right data together to give really human-like answers to things. And a lot of technologists are focusing on solving this problem right now of bringing curated data, to create context, put it into technologies such as a knowledge graph so that you can feed, which is basically an AI database, more or less, and feed that data into the AI engine at the point of interaction so that you get really high quality answers. Okay. Now, I love that whole technology discussion, right? Lots of bits and bytes and pieces moving around. Let's flip it around and talk about it from a very human perspective. Have you ever walked into a meeting, picked up the phone, and not know what people are talking about? Right? You go into the meeting, maybe you're having a busy day. You're switching from Zoom call to Zoom call, phone call to phone call, and you're going in, and who am I meeting with? And what are we supposed to be talking about? And what's I mean, that happens to me a lot. I'm sure it happens to you on occasion.
It is the lost in space situation, such as, what the heck am I doing here?
What am I doing here? And what's the purpose of this? And that's the context from a very human perspective that's frequently missing in our lives as we navigate the high speed of business. Well, AI technology is speeding up business faster than ever. Getting to decisions is easier than ever before. Creating content is easier than ever before. But in there, as the speed of business is accelerating faster and faster, humans are really challenged with understanding the context of the person, the situation in the moment, the person I'm talking to, what happened last week, what are the goals that we're trying to move to next week. And generally speaking, large language models are not very good at assembling context beyond what was first pushed into the model. And so this is an area that a lot of companies are focusing on right now, how to not only solve the context problem from a technology perspective, but ultimately solve the context problem for people. And this is what companies like Win and Regie are doing, is they're helping sales reps understand the context of the prospect and and how the products or services that they're selling map into that. It's a fascinating space that never really spent a lot of time thinking about before this modern era of AI. But now context is one of the single biggest challenges out there because one, it helps AI perform better. And two, it helps people navigate situations with more clarity and conviction and confidence when the context problem is solved. And that's I think 2026 is going to be the year of solving context blindness at every level of the technology stack through the human interactions as well.
Context blindness and getting rid of the bottleneck running around without the context. That is a very good one. What are the 3 biggest reasons such pilots stall after week 6 if people try to create an AI model? I know that is a prepared question, but I like it as well.
Let's answer that from a couple of perspectives. One,
please,
just a typical technology rollout solution or problem set. And this has been happening our entire careers. People get enamored with new technology. They try to deploy it, but they don't really understand what problem they're trying to solve. Right? In fact, they may not even have a problem identified. They're just saying, hey, let's try out CRM. Hey, let's try out AI. Okay, what is it that you're trying to solve? I don't know. You tell me. I just been told that I need to have CRM. I've been told that I need to have AI. And that's typically the first place where any technology project, but certainly an AI project, will stall out because you don't have clear view of what it is you're trying to solve. And this is absolutely the case where a mantra of mine absolutely comes to place. Start small, think big, move quickly. Solve a very specific problem that you have right now. And then envision how you can solve bigger problems ahead of you and move quickly through. So let's take an example. I'm a sales leader, and I've been told that I need to deploy AI, and I'm going to come back and say, for what? How about territory? What's the friction in the business? Maybe it's territory planning. Maybe we're trying to reallocate our territories across the business, across our sales reps, and doing that from a data-driven perspective where you can do a lot of what-if analysis on applying the right sales talent to the right sales problem or right sales territory could be a very challenging problem. There's a great solution for that. There's a company called Boogie Board. Boogie Board, if you're familiar with surfing, it's a type of a small surfboard, more or less. Boogie Board is a great technology for helping you solve that problem. If you have territory management challenges, start there.
Yeah. What about because such as cultural clashes, languages, it's not only the territories. Just imagine you are working in Europe, you are in the Benelux, you are in Spain, you are in France, you are in United Kingdom and in Germany. This is also an interesting aspect. But I am curious and I'm grateful for your hints you are giving into the tool sets, how and where to look for to get a problem, let's say, revisited or that we can digest some stuff. Thank you for that one. Back to you. Sorry.
So identifying the friction in your business.
Yeah.
If you're in marketing, maybe campaigns are generating a lot of activity, but not enough qualified demand. Maybe if you're in charge of customer success, your renewals are very reactive and they're not very proactive. Maybe in finance, your forecasting cycles are slow and very manual. There's all these different places where you identify the friction, identify the pain, and go solve that specific pain, and then start thinking about how you expand the technology beyond that. The other challenge that I run into is I think there's a lot of inflated expectations right now. People want their own personal Jarvis or their own C3PO or R2D2, right? They have this vision of what a robot can do based upon what the media has been telling us it can do, and that's not where we're at, right?
Okay.
I think the where I bring this really precise for consideration is a lot of people are talking about AI coworkers versus AI assistants versus AI taskmasters, right? And what I find in there is when people have the expectation of an AI coworker, Joe is a robot and Joe can do everything I can do, and I'm going to turn to Joe and use and work with Joe as if he is just as effective as I am. It's not going to happen. Just it's not where the technology is right now. However, on the other end of the spectrum, if I am a sales leader, a sales manager, a finance manager, a marketing manager, any manager level in the organization, there's now a set of tasks that I would have historically delegated to a junior person in my organization on my team to go go do. I can now do them myself, right? I can do them myself with AI. I delegate it to AI. AI goes off, gets the job done, gets the task done, comes back, and now I'm more efficient than ever before. But it's me managing AI. And frankly, you got to manage it like it's a junior person on your team. You got to be very specific, very directive, and you have to check in and all that kind of good management techniques. That works much better than having the expectation that AI can just come in and fully replace a person on your team and have judgment and autonomy and the ability to do a high quality job with low level of engagement. So that's the expectations of what AI can and can't do right now, I think are a big part of where AI projects stall out, because a lot of people have been listening to the hype too much, right?
Yeah. Such as managing the expectation in a proper way, like you described these three potential roles, is a very fair, a very good approach to keep your realism with what the market can deliver. There was one YouTube video from an MIT chap which began viral, where he was very much in discussing what kind of jobs you can delegate and where you can use the assistants. And there was that Austrian chap who founded Deep Claw and sold his stuff, Mr. Strasburger, and said, I was surprised that nobody thought about getting tasks done in a flow so that I address and start like playing domino, and the bricks are falling in a directed, strategic, thought through or tactical thought through way, and help me to get things done. Brilliant, easy, and now he's sold. What will happen? What is your personal perspective or observation on, will this be eaten up by OpenAI, or will this go forward in a useful way?
Boy, a lot of thoughts on that one. First off, I think Anthropic Claude is going to eat OpenAI's lunch. I stopped using ChatGPT, and I've gone completely over to Claude. I find it to be not just a better model to work with, but their vision of how to make me a more productive executive and give me a set of new age productivity tools is much more advanced than what I'm seeing out of OpenAI. But
good
technology aside, right? There's a few things. Let's take this a little slightly different direction for a moment. There's a couple of observations that I'm having right now that I think are well worth calling out. First one, AI burnout.
Ooh.
AI burnout. So I have in my podcast and in my consulting business, I have adopted working with AI technology in every aspect of everything I do, from creating my podcasts to writing my strategy documents to collaborating to building TAM models and defining ICP descriptions. All of this work I'm doing very much in an AI native, and I can generate things that would have taken weeks now take me minutes. Things that would have taken me months take me maybe an hour, right? And I'm able to generate ideas and content and in a way that blows my mind, absolutely blows my mind.
And you tested these jobs you had to do through different models, or at a starting point you went with ChatGPT and moved?
Started with ChatGPT. And my co-host on my podcast, he uses Microsoft Copilot, and he's very happy with Copilot. Copilot's got a different way of working than ChatGPT or Claude do. Claude Cowork is getting closer to what Microsoft Copilot has done. I've been very impressed with Copilot. I've spent a little bit of time with Gemini. It's okay. It hasn't really. It's a better search engine. There's no doubt about that. But I have not embraced Gemini the way I've embraced first ChatGPT and then Claude. But the point in there that I'm making is I'm working so fast now, and I'm producing so much good content. And by the way, I've learned to pressure test my content from the point of view of my audience, from the point of view of people I work with. So there's a lot of really great techniques to make sure that you're producing high quality content. And when I say content, I don't just mean in the sense of marketing content, but I mean in the sense of planning documents and strategic direction and just all the aspects of running a business. I'm able to do so much. It's almost thrilling. It's almost it's hard to put down the computer at times, and you can find yourself in this continuous stream of decision making. Now think about your typical work week a year ago. You might come up with a plan for the week, and then you execute on the week, and you're writing documents, you're creating images, you're managing people, and the work week has a rhythm where maybe you have a daily stand up with your team, and then a full meeting at the end of the week to check on the status of a project. And it has a rhythm where there's a mixture of decision making and then what I'll call content production. And it's balanced, and your brain can sometimes kind of slow down and do the rote work, very quick, do the rote work in a very structured way. And then there's times where you can pull it all together, assimilate what others have done, and then make the key decisions. That pace is like 10 times faster now. And so you find yourself making decisions all day long that are really high impact decisions that maybe you only had to make once a week. And that can really fatigue you. It can burn you out. And that's a real challenge. Stresses you. It really does. It really does. I wonder if the 4-day work week has to become a reality ahead of us, because people will otherwise get completely burnt out at the pace by which they're having to make high impact decisions in their job. That's just me advocating for the 4-day work week, maybe. But the reality is the mental health balance in your work environment is completely shaken up right now. And we have not found the new right equilibrium. So that's one topic, right? And I think it's a very important topic because stress can wipe away all the productivity gains of a wonderful large language model, right?
Agreed.
Second topic that I find absolutely fascinating is think about all the technology changes that you've observed over the course of your career.
Mhm.
Isn't it typically the case that the young people take advantage of it first? That new technology,
yeah.
new technology typically
Easy
benefits
adopting. Mhm.
people who are more elastic in their thinking, and they're willing to
More
look at a problem
curious.
differently, and
Mhm.
they can take advantage of this new technology, while older people who are a little bit more conservative and a little bit less likely to change or want to change adopt new technology more slowly. That's kind of just been a general pattern that I think we've always seen with new technology.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about AI technology is that when it comes to agents and well, generative AI in general, but specifically agentic AI, your skills as a manager
Mhm.
can completely change the equation of how effective you can be with agentic AI. If you're good at managing 5-10 people, then
Mhm.
you're going to be good at managing 5 to 10 agents. And if you have the ability to envision a system at work, a system of people
Mhm.
and technology at work that accomplish an overall goal, and now you can start putting agentic components in place in there. I'm finding that older people,
Yeah.
managers, directors, VPs are getting more value out of AI than people at the front end of their career who don't necessarily have the vision
Yeah.
or the management skills. That's a fascinating outcome where uh, old people like you and me, a little bit of gray hair in there, can get so much more value out of
Mhm.
generative AI, out of agentic AI, compared to somebody in their 20s. In fact, I have 2
Fun.
kids in my 20s,
Yeah.
and I'm finding that I'm embracing AI with enthusiasm and excitement and a little bit of uncertainty, right? But my kids look at AI and say, "Oh, it's just taking my jobs. I hate AI." It's a very interesting phenomenon that's playing out right now. Is this age gap is getting switched, right?
Yeah.
Typically, the age gap is old people get left behind, new people take advantage of new technology, progress happens. But now we're in a place where old people are taking advantage of this new technology and young people aren't as interested. It's a very fascinating outcome that I don't actually know where this lands, right? But
Yeah.
it's
But
impacting
it's
jobs, right?
just imagine and envision the Japanese cultural attitude of age, seniority, and wisdom
Mhm.
is exactly in former cultures pre-AI, where they had a lot of respect for they have seen things, they have developed things, and they are still in an advisory role. I take your observation as a very interesting new role model. Seniority beats juniority, such as experience, wisdom, and how to handle either tricky people or even a tricky agent or agentic AI, such as you need more to take care of its specific tool set to ask it the right questions, as you had it earlier. It's a young assistant. You have to coach it properly. You have to ask the right questions. You have to guide it in the right
Give it the
direction.
right context.
Yeah, danke. The context again. There it was. Yeah. Wow. That's impressive. And I would love to handle, oh, I would love to ask you for your advice, because you have mentioned Claude. And if Thomas would have been not on the way to Tahiti, he would have right jumped into that, because one of the decisions he has taken is that he is very much in utilizing Claude for a lot of jobs he needs to do. I was curious if Claude is able to combine what I described as these flows. OpenClaw was describing, or Deep Claw, what it is at the end of the day called, that you like the domino bricks effect, that you can design flows such as you have a story to tell, you get your slide deck created, review it, and what you mentioned as the audience check, that was most fascinating. So what is the way and what
So
would you use
Claude
with Claude
co-work.
together to create a slide deck?
So let me tell you my flow to create a slide deck.
Yeah, please.
So what I had been doing, well, I'll tell you what I did a couple months ago and what I'm doing now.
Fine.
So first off, I will work with Claude to create a document that encompasses the full concept. And that document may be 50 pages long. Because you can get a lot of detail, a lot of ideas pulled together into that source document. And that's the key term, source document, very quickly. And you can get a lot of granularity, a lot of research, a lot of ideas all pulled together, and you will come up with, let's call it roughly a 50-page document. Or more importantly, a document that you never would have written before, because it just took too much time. Or you might create one a month, one every 2 or 3 months of 50 pages of content at most. And now you can do that you can get a first version in a few minutes, and then you pressure test it, and you push at it, and you inspect it, and in half a day to a day, you've created a very legitimate 50-page document. And then you start sharing it with your colleagues, and they use their AI to inspect that document. They're actually not reading the document, right? Nobody reads that document anymore. They use AI to inspect the document.
Yeah.
And they use AI to ask questions of the document. And you go through 5, 6, 7 iterations of that document over 2 or 3 days. And now you have a really solid source document with a lot of rich detail that you've collaborated with not only your human colleagues, but your AI colleagues to make it really good. And then you put in a very simple command into Claude, and you say, turn this into the outline of a 5-page slide deck, short overview, or a 15-page medium depth of overview, or a full in-depth 30, 40-page, and it creates the outline. And you review the outline, and you give it some feedback. Is it the right level? Just like you would do if you had given this task to a junior employee and say, turn this source deck into a short deck, a medium deck, and a very in-depth deck that I can share with different audiences. And you're doing this boom, 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 boom. And about 4 or 5 months ago, the actual creation of the deck itself, you would not have done in Claude, because the Claude skill for creating slide decks wasn't very mature at that point.
Okay.
So you would have gone to a tool like Gamma. And by the way, Gamma is impressive in its ability to turn these ideas into a slide deck with images and your template and everything like that around it. But what's happened in the last couple of months is that Claude has released a set of document creation skills, PowerPoint skills. And by the way, the term skill is a very specific thing inside of Claude. So your PowerPoint skill, your Microsoft Word skill have gotten much, much better. They're creating an ecosystem of skills where people can come in and kind of like in an open source type approach, augment the skills that are inside of Claude. And so now I take that same source document, I go through a planning process. It takes me maybe 20 minutes to half an hour, make sure it comes out the right way. And then I tell it to create the deck, and the deck is usually about 95% good. And in the cases where I just need to get something out to somebody quickly, 95% good is good enough, right?
Absolutely.
So that's how I'm creating slide decks these days. And what comes out of that is the representation of what's in the source document is no big deal now. It's just no big deal. Creating a PowerPoint, no big deal. Creating a short Word document summary, no big deal. Creating an email summary, no big. Turning it into a LinkedIn post, no big deal, right? Any way of representing that source document out is just a moment of your time. What you focus on is making sure that that source document with all the rich detail in it is spot on, and that's where you put your energy is doing that. But you know what might have taken me 4 weeks, 8 weeks before, it takes me 4 hours maybe at most. I can have the first version in 4 minutes, right? And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Now you have it's like the fisherman. Now I have taken the bait. Now
if you haven't done what I would, this process I just described, for people like you and me who do a lot of strategic planning and consulting and building plans and getting people focused in the right direction, this process I just described is absolutely amazing. And I'm not being hyperbolic here. I mean, it truly just blows your mind.
Yeah. It's mind-blowing. That was the first what came to my mind right now, such as you described it, how you described it, how fascinated you come authentically over, and also to our audience, is exactly why we do this conversation and why I'm so grateful that you spend today your time with us, as it goes for the direction which we have in a quarterly, let's say, episode scheme from now on, which is my idea, if you agree.
Absolutely. Happy to come back.
The going forward on the technologies and the possibilities is rapid. We have to look for a useful integration into our work-life balance. And we have to look for not to get another hamster in the wheel moment,
right?
Which you described a bit differently as the AI burnout. One of my most thrilling and fascinating topics, which we started 3 years ago when the whole thing started, was when will it pay off? Because I do not like to ask the return on the investment in AI. As you described, very focused, very clearly, very specific jobs which are done, it should be easy to measure the benefit. How is the situation in your observation overall?
So I'm a
it's just
are you
me.
familiar with the term neurodiversity? Neurodiverse, ADHD. I'm attention deficit disorder. I'm very good at I am very good at being passionate and getting people excited and getting them pointed in a new direction. That's what has defined me as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Is I can get people, I can pull together ideas and get people excited about those ideas and get people into forward motion. It's been my superpower as an entrepreneur for my entire career. I have been told many times that my depth of detailed planning leaves a little bit to be desired.
Oopsie.
Do you know what I mean?
So you are the match which strikes the light and enlightens the candle.
But I didn't plan necessarily where that candle's placed, or do I have enough candles behind them, or why exactly. You know, that's just it's not been my my superpower. It's something I've had to work hard on. I am able to do a depth of planning now that I never did before. Either, you know, I would tell myself I didn't have the time, but the reality is I didn't have the patience, and I would just figure it out on the fly. So I now go into situations with clients and coworkers where I have a depth of planning in place that for me is mind-boggling detailed.
Wow.
The people around me are saying, this is a great plan. This is a really, really good plan. We know how to address different situations. We know how we know how to look for things around the corner. We've got the next 6 weeks planned out ahead of us. And by the way, if circumstances change, Clint, you've described a situation where you can adjust the plan on the fly with just a half day's worth of work. And so I'm going in more prepared, less chaotic, more confident than I've ever been in my entire career. And that's worth every penny.
Marvelous.
That is the payoff for me.
Fantastic. And a realistic, easy to understand, and very pragmatic and authentic statement. Thank you very much for that one, Clint. And I was asking, looking to my preparation sheet, why the heck have I spent so much time in thinking about questions, have thrown it into an agentic model and redefined it, as our conversation is from minute one, a continuous firework, so to describe, where I enjoy every minute. Now, as the chap I had the phone call this morning is a professor, I would love to advise him to get some things done in inspecting and digesting Claude so that he can make a better lecturing experience for his students and get some stuff prepared in a mood that he can make his life easier. No?
Let me give you some the starting wisdom on this.
Yes, please.
I give this is the same advice I give all the time within the context of my podcast and as I meet other business executives. Everybody has the same question. Where do I get started? Where do I get started? Is there a training course that I need to take? How do I get going on this? And the answer is obvious, insightful, and very meta. You ask the AI. You ask the AI. You ask Claude, how do I get started?
So
you say to Claude, I'm a professor at this university teaching these courses, and I need, how can you help me be, how can Claude help me be a better professor, and walk me through a dialogue where you ask me a set of questions so that I can clarify what I'm trying to get better. You ask the AI. It's an amazing tool. The instruction is built in, right? You don't have to go somewhere else and take an online training course. You just, in Claude, you say, I'm a professor of business and I've never used AI in the classroom before. How should I get started? And it comes out with so many ideas that are spot on. It's absolutely amazing. I did this. Here's how you can apply this in any shape, way, and form. I was at a dinner, sitting next to somebody that I had just met, and we started talking about AI, as we do, right?
Okay.
And she said, "Oh, I'm in a business where AI will never be used." I said, "Oh, there's a challenge. Interesting. What do you do?" "We do hazardous material remediation. We remove asbestos." So that our company goes in, and it's a very hands-on job, and you I don't have to explain. You get the idea. And I said, "Oh, well, what's your role in the company?" "I'm the office manager." I said, "Oh, okay. Let's just do something right now. I pulled out my phone. I opened up ChatGPT because I was still using ChatGPT at the time. Now I'd open up Claude. And I said, I am an office manager at a hazardous material remediation services company. How could I best use AI in my job? And it came out with idea after idea, compliance documents, quote responses, employee manual, all these things. And I said, this is all the things that you could be doing with ChatGPT tomorrow. Are all of your compliance documents up to date? Is your employee manual up to date? How long does it take you to respond to generate a quote? What if all that was just done? And her eyes just went wide open. I never even thought of that. Just ask the AI.
Marvelous. And we are going to the end of the hour, and we have done something new, such as instead of asking the famous last question, we go for a lightning round, 5 questions per question, 30 seconds to answer, or spot on what comes to your mind first. But before we go with the audience in that lightning round, I would like to do a shameless plug on your other side. When you go for your website and look for the podcast, you have also a hint that you have there an enlistment dated in February this year, where you have several tools arranged for dedicated roles. That was something of my reading yesterday when I said, that is needed to become more popular, that people visit this specific section of your page where you give these first teasing advice. If you are in marketing, go for that and that tool. If you are in sales, go for that and that tool. So the advice from me as the co-host, as in absence of Thomas, the host, go into prompt this, look at the page, and enjoy as much as I did yesterday and the day before and the day before the day before. Now, the lightning round, Clint. Question 1. Best AI tool surprise of 2025 for real work, not demos, even transported into the early 2026, please.
Gamma. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Building PowerPoints with Gamma put a smile on my face. I build a lot of PowerPoints. Gamma is a fun tool to work with.
And it's affordable?
Oh, very affordable. You start with a free trial. It's $20 a month. It's fantastic.
Good. Most overrated AI feature you saw in the first quarter?
The most overrated AI feature that I saw in the first quarter. I saw a lot. I mean, which one do I want to call out here? Claude Cowork.
Okay.
Claude Cowork. It's a new tool from Claude. It's got a lot of promise. It's very exciting, but it's still it's in beta mode, and the reality of it didn't match the hype when it first got released.
So it does not fit to the expectation created by the hype.
Now Claude as a tool, Claude as an AI tool is a great AI tool, but Claude Cowork, it's a new tool and it's just not ready yet.
It has to develop. One workflow every CX team should automate first. Is it webinar, blog, transcript, doc, or doc to slides, and why?
Yes, all of those. You can automate all of those. I have automated my process of taking my podcast and creating an accompanying blog article, which you referred to earlier. Yeah. The show notes that go to the podcast when I present it, all the steps of post-production for my podcast, I've automated that entirely, and it was fun. And I'm done in 30 minutes when it should have taken me 2 days in the past.
You see my eyes open and my mouth as well. Gosh, that's sweet. If I could only keep one metric for AI ROI, cycle time, quality, adoption, revenue, what would you choose to measure?
I think it's a very simple one right now. It all starts with this metric. Are you saving 10 times the amount of time that you were spent before? I didn't say that very clearly. Are you realizing 10x time savings? You should be realizing 10x time savings across the board.
Yeah, fair enough. Final question. What's your minimal viable coworker stack for a small CX team in 2026 you would advise?
Claude for strategic planning. Gong or Zoom AI for customer call analysis, prospect. That, by the way, it all starts there. Everything that you should be doing around your CX planning should start with analyzing what your customers are saying to you. Analyze all the emails, analyze all the prospect conversations, all the customer conversations. That's the starting point in everything. And Gong has great tools for that. Zoom AI Companion has great tools for that. Then start doing
the same Zoom for the broadcasting.
Yeah, it's amazing. Zoom AI Companion is fantastic. It'll tell you exactly what your customers and your prospects are talking about. What are the most common objections? Who are the competitors? Are my sales reps following a good qualification methodology? It all starts there with either Gong or Zoom AI Companion. Microsoft Teams doesn't really have a solution there yet. That's where Gong comes in on top of it. But and then you use Claude to analyze all of that information and come up with new plans. You're going to use Clay, C-L-A-Y, Clay, for finding the right prospects that match your ICP, because you're going to do a lot of ideal customer profile analysis and refinement with Claude. And then you're going to go find your next prospects with Clay. You're going to absolutely deploy a chatbot on your website for inbound prospect inquiries and customer support activities. There's a ton of them out there, but if you haven't done that yet, you absolutely, and choose one. My favorite is actually going away, Drift. Have you heard the news about Drift going away? Oh,
no.
It's getting killed as a product. Yeah, it's really sad. Drift was one of my favorites. So I was an early customer of Drift, and I've always been very impressed with it. I don't know. There's some names to start off with, but I tell you that the place to start is analyze the data you already have, the unstructured data you already have, your customer support tickets, your prospect emails, your recorded phone calls. Pull that together into a coherent analysis, and then go through a planning cycle around how you can hone your product to the right audience and find every friction point in the journey and start solving the friction points in that customer journey from initial discovery through retention and growth of the customers. And start by analyzing the conversations. That's my recommendation.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much, Clint. And as we have done a little bit more time than the 1 hour, every minute pays off to our audience, especially if they review what you have said and reread what they get afterwards. So please, very much, thank you, dear audience, and the time flew by, honestly. And it's having a lot of fun to have you with us again, Clint. And I just checked through the list that you have been with us more than 10 times in different roles. And it is always a special moment. We love it.
Oh, well, thank you. I enjoy it.
Yeah, tune in next week when we dive into virtual conversations, VCons, and a set of standards emerging to put a container around multi-channel, asynchronous conversations between customers and the businesses of their choice with our guest, Dan Miller, from formerly Opus Research, which is now Eremitus, but still very curious. And as we had it, seniority pays off. So take care, stay healthy, and do not miss the next episode from the CRMKonvos. Thank you very, very much again, Clint. And I now will go with you backstage.